Maybe I'm crazy, but the Heat are winning NBA championship. I believe it.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.
Welcome to the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. I'm Joy Taylor. I'm 98% serious. I'm just going to be a fan for the rest of the year with the Heat, so you're just going to have to mind me. I'm very excited. Mark Medina from USA Today Sports. He covers the NBA. He is going to be joining us. He's covered the Lakers and the Warriors, and now he covers the whole NBA, so he has lots of good NBA nuggets for us, so that's exciting. We're also going to talk about Jimmy Butler openly recruiting Joel Embiid, which I love. Johnny Manziel is the most lit college football player of all time. We debate later in the podcast. We don't really debate. We just disagree. My voice sounds horrible, so I'm sorry about that. We'll also put that in loser power rankings. Talk XFL, where all the quarterbacks going to end up in this free agency period and drafts, because there's like 15 that can possibly move around, and obviously 5 possible top first-round draft picks available at the quarterback position. So we'll get into that and lots of other stuff, but let's get started. Oh, and Oscars with T. But let's get started with Mark Medina from USA Today Sports. All right, very excited to have Mark Medina from USA Today Sports on the show. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
You've covered a lot of the NBA. So you've been in you were in Golden State.
Yeah.
And then you were with the Lakers?
Yeah, I was, 2010, I was covering the Lakers as a blogger for the LA Times. 2012, still with the Lakers, but as a beat writer with the LA Daily News. And then the year following Kobe Bryant's last year with them, went up to the Bay Area, covered the Warriors for Bay Area News Group for 2 years, and now I'm back here in LA as a national writer with USA Today. So there's a lot of things going on in LA, obviously, this year with the Lakers and Clippers. So I'll go there a lot for both teams, visiting teams coming in, but I'll do some trips around the Western Conference as well.
Yeah, so you covered nationally the NBA.
Yeah.
So you've had you similar to me, have been very lucky with the teams that you've gotten to cover.
Yeah.
Because I started in Miami, and I pretty much started in the business right before LeBron came to Miami. And so I got to cover the Heatles for those 4 years, which was incredible. And then, now I'm in LA. So yeah, sometimes you get lucky like that. You don't have to go to Albuquerque. Yeah.
You know what? Preparation meets opportunity.
Yes,
right?
it does.
So all
I went to school.
I
went to school in Miami. I did my internships and worked for free for a year. But yeah, that does happen. No diss to Albuquerque, by the way. Wonderful place. I've never been, but I've heard some things. Actually, I have friends that live in Albuquerque. Now that I think about it, they just moved there. Anyway, so the Lakers obviously are pretty much the number one story in the league right now. And the latest was that LeBron is the happiest he's ever been with management in his career, which obviously hurts my feelings because I worship at the throne of Pat Riley, who is the godfather of the NBA. But they did have some issues there, and he had some issues with Spoelstra and such, and we all know what happened with Cleveland. But what being around the team is the biggest difference with the front office this year? Because obviously last year it was a bleep show, if we're being serious.
I mean, honestly, the main difference is Magic Johnson isn't there, right? And I think, in fairness to him, you have to give him credit that for all his warts and criticisms of, his commitment to the job and the dynamic between he and Rob Pelinka, I mean, he was the person that brought LeBron James here. I mean, he is the one that had the meeting with LeBron, sold him on the vision. But I think with Rob Pelinka having an elevated role, I think there's a debate still of how good is he as a GM. You have to give him credit for obviously getting Anthony Davis here. And I think that to their credit, he made up for some of the mistakes last year where they didn't have the right supporting cast to help LeBron. I think here they've had much better bench pieces, but it's still early. But I think regardless of that, there's not as many competing agendas, different voices. There's more synergy, and I think that has affected the organization mostly for the good, where there's not as much of that Lakers soap opera that we're so used to seeing. I think you also have to credit the coaching staff. Frank Vogel, a very accomplished head coach, an experienced head coach in the NBA, but the reality is he wasn't the Lakers' first choice, and one of the candidates was Ty Lue, who coached LeBron in Cleveland, and that fell apart for various reasons. So he was coming into the job, kind of having to prove himself, and he immediately showed his chops, and a lot of the guys from LeBron 80 down have been completely buying in.
Yeah, I think Frank Vogel's actually kind of an underrated
Yeah.
storyline this year because all anyone could talk about is just what a setup it was that Frank Vogel was being hired, because it's like clearly they're just hiring him and then LeBron's going to have some major problems with him and then Jason Kidd is going to just slowly move up the bench right to that spot Frank Vogel's going to be fired midseason. And I think that he's done a really good job. And I wasn't sure how that was going to play out because it is a lot to coach LeBron James, and that's not LeBron James's fault. It's a lot to deal with anyone who is the biggest star in the entire world. That's just how it goes. And I think Frank Vogel's done a great job.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that he fully understands is, you know, I think there's a huge narrative, especially around the NBA, when it comes to the superstars of, oh, you know, how much personalities are there and egos, and certainly that's prevalent. But I think at the end of the day, a lot of these players just simply want to see a coach that knows what he's talking about,
right?
And it does his homework, prepares, puts them in a position to succeed. So when it comes to Frank Vogel, and it's like, how does he get the guys to buy in? Like, he can't try to act cool or give these really nice speeches. It's just about doing your homework, showing that you're prepared. And when the guys see that you are putting that work, you know what you're talking about, and your ideas have played out on the court, that's when the buy-in process starts to happen.
So there was a little bit of chatter last week before the trade deadline that Kuzma was possibly going to be moved. I'm a huge Kuzma fan. One, I like personalities, and he's got the whole look. Like,
you're an Eminem fan, is what you're saying.
I was very excited to see Eminem at the Oscars. I thought that was a wonderful twist. Yeah, like I think Kuzma kind of fits the team. I also like that he's young, and I do think that you do need, while obviously they're trying to win now, you do somewhat need to invest in the youth of your organization. So I did not like the idea of moving Kuzma at all, and I'm very glad that they didn't. But what's the resistance with Kuzma? Not that he was going to be moved because he's not good, but like there seems to be this argument that he doesn't fit with this team.
Yeah, well, I think because of his injuries, he was trying to play catch up with getting himself in a rhythm. It is a different role that he had to get accustomed to with coming off the bench and not having the same kind of scoring role that he had in previous seasons. And, you know, some of his consistency with his outside shooting has been suspect. I mean, basically, you've seen, to use this Eminem analogy, you've seen like the Slim Shady version of Marshall Mathers' LP Eminem show, which is good.
Right.
And then sometimes Kuzma's shown the Eminem of, you know, encore and relapse, and that's not great, right? So
What a great analogy.
I think with that, there's been optimism that some of it's circumstantial. He's still young, and so he's in that kind of gray area where, hey, he's not established enough that we're going to make him untouchable. We'll still entertain offers, see what's available, but it's not to the point where they're thinking, hey, we got to get rid of him, whatever it takes. And I think the Lakers made the right move. I think that there is still upside. He has shown in the last month he's improved. And then I think with the bigger picture, one of the things that I think has really played in the Lakers' favor is that his hiccups aside and Rajon Rondo's hiccups aside, their chemistry as five-man units have been really good.
Yeah.
And I think they were leery of breaking up those combinations to then get into a process of having to integrate a new guy, seeing what the best lineups are for that, and then all of a sudden it might affect the standings and just their overall comfort level heading into the playoffs.
Would you call him the third guy?
You know, I think by default from a scoring load.
Because I feel like the third guy with LeBron always gets this treatment. And it's like Bosh, and it's Kevin Love. And obviously Bosh and Kevin Love are on a different level right now, obviously, than Kuzma would be in that spot. But like it's like the third guy with LeBron always kind of gets the
Yeah,
shot.
it's a great idea, Joy. And I equate some similarities to that. That like those guys who are even more established went through hiccups of finding their way. But as far as being a third guy, I think from a scoring standpoint, sure. But as far as the pecking order on the team, I think you've seen it's clearly LeBron and AD, and then it's been a wild card. Sometimes you've seen Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee be those defensive rim protectors and rebounders. Sometimes you've seen Avery Bradley really set the example on the perimeter. And then sometimes you've seen, hey, it's Danny Green just hit a bunch of three-pointers. So I don't think that from a team depth chart, Kyle Kuzma is the third guy, but technically he is from a numbers scoring standpoint.
Yeah, and I always feel bad for those guys. Cause, like, well, at least in Miami, like, Bosh would always kind of get a lot of slack from the rest of the country. We always protect it. You got to protect Chris Bosh. He's a good dude. All right, so then the other option out there, or rumor, is that Dion Waiters could possibly be an addition to the Lakers. Now, he had some issues with the Heat, obviously, only played 3 games this year. I don't really know what happened in Miami there, but whatever. I like Dion Waiters. I think he's a playmaker. He's obviously not as consistent as you would like, but I don't think that that's really his role on a team. So do you think he fits with the Lakers? That would be a good choice for them?
I don't think so. I mean, I think the Lakers are always about doing due diligence, just like a lot of good NBA teams are. So I don't think they're shutting anything out. But the reality is they have a 15-man roster. So if they're going to make any sort of moves, they have to waive someone.
Right.
I think the second thing is the Lakers might have a really good culture, but so did Miami.
Yeah.
So I don't think the Lakers have shied away of picking up players with question marks. I mean, Dwight Howard is a perfect example that the Lakers know from firsthand experience that, look, there's a lot of baggage that comes with having Dwight on your team, and he showed through his actions and the fact that it was a non-guaranteed contract that they won't tolerate that. But I think it goes back to the larger point of the Lakers have built such great chemistry already. I don't feel like they're going to get to the point where they feel like it's worth to potentially disrupt that.
Are they good enough to make it to the finals, though?
Yeah. Right now, I give the edge to the Lakers over the Clippers.
Why?
I think there's better chemistry. I think that there's been more opportunities because they're healthier for guys to play together. That being said, these two teams, since the jump, have been on a parallel track to then have a collision course. And so going into the season, I thought the Clippers had the edge because they have more depth. I thought some of the continuity that they had with the bench would go into play of minimizing the integration and familiarity, and I haven't seen that as much as I thought it would be. Part of it was expected because Paul George missed the first 11 games.
Yeah.
Kawhi Leonard wound up missing some games, but there were some other injuries with some of the other supporting cast that made it harder to find the right lineup combinations that Doc Rivers likes, and also to have practice time. So I think they're behind the 8 ball, but the good thing for the Clippers is they still have a month and a half. But I will stress, like, either way, here's what it's going to come down to. Whichever team's healthiest, obviously, but the second thing is these regular season matchups, I don't take anything out of them, and it goes beyond, it's the regular season. The first opening night, I give it to the Clippers. They brought it, even without Paul George. Like, the Lakers weren't ready to play. Christmas Day game, Kawhi technically outplayed LeBron, but I think you have to consider that LeBron had been carrying a heavier workload during that month. Not to say that he was getting run into the ground, but I think it was the other extreme where Kawhi was sitting out every other game. He was more rested. And if you're going to get into this compare and contrast of who's the better player, Kawhi had 13 games before that where he shot below 50%. He's had his fair share of not good games either. So I think because of that, you almost wipe those out, and it's really going to come down to some of these things are obvious, but it just is what it is. It's going to be health, number one, and then number two, how well do the duos play collectively, and then the third part is all these supporting cast role players, to what extent are they going to be the best version of themselves? And as of right now, the Lakers have shown the advantage with that, but still a month and a half for that to get correct.
Yeah, I don't put too much into the regular season either when it comes to teams that are at this level. But okay, so slipping over to the Eastern Conference, obviously the Bucks are running through everybody. I don't know what it is about the Bucks, but I'm just not 100%.
You're not feeling them?
Look, I love Giannis. Okay, and I love Giannis.
And that's it. You don't like Chris Middleton?
Yes, no, I think Chris Middleton is a nice player. But is he? Are the Bucks good enough to beat the Lakers or the Clippers? Like, even healthy? I don't think so.
Yeah, and I don't take much away from it because it's regular season. They have beaten them. I think they have a clearer path to the finals because of the East. Now, I say that with full respect that I think Toronto's a really good team. I think Miami's getting even better. Jimmy Butler's been great. Getting Andre Iguodala is going to do wonders. But I feel like just league-wide, Clippers, Lakers, Lakers, Clippers, however you want to flip it, there is such a divide between those two teams and everyone else.
Yeah.
But I don't think that that's necessarily an indictment on Milwaukee per se. I think that they can build off of last year where they ran to a buzzsaw with the Raptors. I think Giannis kind of had that rite of passage that a lot of young NBA stars do, where you had that first taste of playoff experience, and now you know what it's like to face a really good team that has time and preparation to scheme for you in a full playoff series. And I think that woke him up a little bit. That woke up the coaching staff to really add even more skill sets to his game. So I think they're fine, but Lakers, Clippers they have way too much, and it's such a discrepancy compared to the rest of the league.
Yeah, so like when I look at the Bucks and the talent, and it's not that they aren't a talented team, obviously they are. And Giannis is a monster, as we know.
Yeah.
But it's just like Giannis and Chris Middleton, right?
Yeah.
Or Kawhi,
Eric Bledsoe's all right,
and Paul George.
but you can't compare.
But I'm just taking the top two. Like, like they do have talent, like obviously. But yeah, I mean, in a 7-game series, like I can't do it. And to be honest with you, like you said, I really don't know. Like I like the Raptors, but the Raptors always do this. They always have awesome regular seasons, and they're crushing right now. And I respect that organization a lot. I picked them to win last year. So, but
You
for real,
call
like
it,
I
yeah.
do. No, because listen, I love Kawhi. Kawhi is that dude to me. Like, if I have to pick anyone in the whole league, I really think I'm really picking Kawhi, and that's over LeBron. And I know that sounds crazy, but he's that dude. And I don't care about load management and all that. Like, he showed last year he won a championship for an entire country. So nobody else can say that
For sure.
So to me, like, I like the Raptors regular season. I think and I know I'm being biased, but the Heat has some shit with them that's like old school Pat Riley Heat basketball. Mean. You got Jimmy Butler out here openly recruiting Joel Embiid. Like that, they're different this year, and they're going to get better. And the Celtics too.
Yeah.
Like I think that the first 2 rounds Milwaukee will have no problem, but I don't know about the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, I like the Celtics, and I think there was so much going on last year with Kyrie, and I say this knowing how good of a player Kyrie is, but there's no way around it. He wasn't a good leader with that team. And
No,
I
it didn't
think
fit. It wasn't the right
there's
fit.
a better fit this year, and there's a lot more continuity. I just think the X factor is Giannis. I still give the edge to LeBron over Kawhi just because he's been able to be healthier and more consistently durable. But I think when you're talking about Milwaukee and really everyone else in the NBA, I haven't seen signs this season that LeBron's slowing down. To his credit, I think he benefited last year of missing 27 games, resting up, kind of using that last season as motivation of missing the playoffs for the first time. I think
And
for
the
him
extra time from
since
missing the
2006. Yeah, and the extra time to recover. But there's going to be a window that's closing for him. I mean, there's no skirting around. He's 35, 17th season. So as much as I don't want any NBA team to just, hey, bide your time, just stay put, there is still that avenue for Milwaukee to be able to strike, maybe not this season, but next season or the following season, where they do have that chance because the Lakers' window is so small.
Wow. Do they have that chance? Because Giannis is going to be a free agent, and if they continue to get right there and not win, is he going to stay?
Nothing is ever guaranteed in today's NBA, but if I had to bet, I think Giannis is going to stay in Milwaukee. I don't think it's going to be similar, regardless of the fact that the Warriors are going to be aggressive. They're going to align themselves from a cap standpoint and just asset standpoint to be able to make that deal or when he becomes a free agent. But I don't think that what Milwaukee or what Giannis is facing in Milwaukee was comparable to what Kevin Durant was facing in Oklahoma City.
No, or LeBron in Cleveland.
Right, exactly. So I think knowing, I don't cover Giannis on a day-to-day basis, but just following the team from afar and talking to people who know around the NBA, there's a real feeling that he's staying in Milwaukee. But that being said, I mean, there's just never any guarantees in the NBA. And that doesn't even have to just do with free agency. I mean, it's injuries and just everything else that, can really tilt the scale one way or the other.
I think a lot could happen. I don't think that they're going to win the championship this year, and then moving into next year. And look, Milwaukee's a well-run organization, so it's not like it's Cleveland where it's just
a hot mess,
insanity, or it's Miami where you're under the biggest amount of pressure that anyone has ever faced, really, even more than what was going on in Golden State with Kevin Durant, because everyone hated the big three in Miami. But I just think that like you said, right now, Giannis does not have a whole lot of pressure on him. But if they make it again and he doesn't win again, that might just turn up a little bit because eventually, you know how we are. Like eventually, we're gonna be like, okay, like Giannis is great, but he never wins. Like he's great in the regular season, and he's the Greek freak and he's fun and everyone loves him, and I love Giannis, but like he never wins. That's gonna become the thing, and then that pressure is going to raise up. And to me, I don't have a problem with guys moving because of that. Like we have this measurement that we're the finish line's always moving for what the greatest is, or you have to be the greatest. And it's all about competition.
Right.
So I do think that narrative could switch very quickly if that continues to happen for Giannis.
Yeah, for sure. And as unfair as I think kind of that rings debate goes into play, because it's not even just that player's greatness and his drive and will. There's so many outside factors and how well the organization's run. But I think to your point, like I never faulted Kevin Durant for leaving the Thunder for the Warriors, because I think you should give a lot of credit to him and the Warriors that, hey, they valued winning. And as much as you look on paper, they are just stacked with future Hall of Famers. There has been a lot of times in the history of the NBA where that resulted in a lot of competing agendas, egos clashing, and nothing was perfect there by any means, especially that last season. But I think the underrated part of the Warriors and Kevin Durant is that they integrated Kevin in a way that maximized what he brought as Kevin Durant without diluting the identity that made Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andre Iguodala so good. And, that whole narrative, you just roll the ball out and it's easy. No, that took a lot of work and sacrifice and kind of X's and O's to make sure everyone was feeling like the team's the best version of themselves without individuals feeling like they're on the short end of the stick.
Yeah, that's just silly. Like that's silly fan stuff. And I'm very pro fan.
Right.
Like we whatever. We don't. And none of us really know anything. All right. Like we're not on the sideline drawing up plays and stuff. But the idea that Kevin Durant just showed up and there was an automatic championship. They didn't win every year with Kevin Durant there. Like the Warriors didn't win the year before he came. Like this is not an automatic thing.
Right.
And that's what happened in Miami with the Chris Bosh and Dwayne Wade. Like they didn't win the first year. Of course they're not going to win the first year. Like it takes time to do all this. It helps. You're going to have talent. You're going to make the finals. But championships are championships for a reason. They're hard to win.
Yeah, for
not
sure.
the only talented people in the league. Okay, so before I let you go, what was supposed to be the biggest story of the year was Zion Williamson, and unfortunately didn't quite start out that way. And then he had a sprained ankle and missed the last game. He's supposed to play against the Blazers tonight. But do you have any concerns about Zion, like that he's going to be able to get his body on the right track?
I think it's certainly a lot of fair questions. I talked with some outside medical people who didn't see Zion or treat him directly, but just knowing the nature of his injury. There are some that are wondering, okay, like, is this the sign of many things to come? But that being said, Joy, the people on the Pelicans end and also around the NBA, they really feel like the fact that he missed so much time this season really enabled the Pelicans to correct his movement patterns and improve his range of motion. And it really didn't have much to do with, his weight or how big he is. Of course, they wanted Zion to slim down his body fat just for his own conditioning. But it was really that his range of motion was just so tight. And with that being so tight, that was leading to more knee injuries, more ankle injuries. So I think, you should be cautious when you have an ankle injury here or there, but I think that's going to be more the norm of if he is hurt, it's these minor ailments that take him out a few games here or there. But I don't think that there's going to be that major injury that takes him out for half a season or even beyond, because I think that they use that time wisely to correct all those movement patterns that I think contributed to the previous injuries at Duke, at Summer League, and, during preseason play.
Yeah, that's good. Obviously we were all rooting for Zion going into the season.
Of
but John Morant's had an incredible season.
Unbelievable.
I love John Morant. I need to get a jersey. Those jerseys are hard.
Yeah.
Those Grizzlies jerseys. I got to get matching sneaks, though.
They've been selling out. You can't get them anywhere?
No, I just need to do it.
Okay. You're busy.
Yeah, eventually. I'm laying on the couch doing nothing. I'll order one. Thank you so much for joining us. It was really fun.
Yeah,
We'd
thank
love
you
to
for
have
having
you
me.
again. Lots of good NBA nuggets.
Always love it.
We'll
Always
love to have
love
you on later in the season.
Sounds
Appreciate
good.
it. And you can follow Mark at MarkG_Medina on Twitter so you get more NBA nuggets from him. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. Appreciate the plug.
Thanks.
With it or quit it. With it, quit it.
What?
With it.
We about to turn up in this bitch.
All right, Donnie, what am I winning or quitting today? Heller is out again. He will be with us soon.
Yes. The 2020 NFL offseason is in full swing, and a major change is going to come. Looks like some old faces are headed to some new places, and some baby faces headed to some new places as well.
Ooh, lots of aces.
A lot of faces and places.
Oh, my aces.
Joy, this is the most interesting offseason for quarterbacks ever. With it or quit it.
Definitely with it. There is going to be some movement, and I think there's going to be a lot of movement in the draft also. There's just a lot of quarterbacks who are free agents, and then there's a lot of quarterbacks who are available, who are possible first rounders. Because everyone's really only talking about Tua, Joe Burrow, and Justin Herbert. But Jacob Eason and Jordan Love are also high prospects, and they're going to go in the first round, I think. And then also, like, you have Jalen Hurts floating out there. No one's really talking about him. I think he'll go in the second rounds, but still be drafted very high, obviously. So we'll do honorable mention Jalen Hurts, but just focusing on those 5 that are, I think, going to go in the first round. You have Tua, Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, Jacob Eason, and Jordan Love. Then, free agent-wise, you have Tom Brady, Phillip Rivers, Drew Brees, Teddy Bridgewater, Cam Newton, Andy Dalton, Dak Prescott, Jameis Winston. I suppose you could put Marcus Mariota's name out there, but I think he'll end up staying with the Titans. I think the Titans are going to sign Ryan Tannehill to an extension also. So that's what is that? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13?
That's a lot.
Conservatively, because there could be some other moves made.
True.
As well. So, yeah, I mean, there's just, and I think a lot of them are moving. So my very, very non-sourced, uneducated guesses on where I think these guys are going to go.
Those are the best guesses.
Yeah, because, if I'm right, I get to brag, and if not, well, whatever. So I think the Dolphins are going to end up taking Tua. So Tua got cleared for his first medical, which was the hip fracture heal, and it did. It was as positive as it could be, was the Rappaport report on Tua. So that's good. Like, you wanted to know that it's healed. Yeah. Again, I don't know anything about this injury and how it's going to heal or how it's going to affect him. None of us do. So stop acting like you do. You don't. But I will say, I've been consistent about Tua from this whole time. I don't like Tua as much as Joe Burrow. I haven't all season. Excuse me, I'm going to die.
It's February.
We'll talk about that later. I didn't like Tua before this hip injury, only for the injuries. I understand he's very talented. But the one thing about Tua and Joe Burrow.
Oh, man.
The one thing about Tua and Joe Burrow that people keep going on opposite sides of, and it makes no sense, is like when it comes to Joe Burrow, it's like, oh, he played for LSU. Look at the talent he has around him and the receivers. It's like, what's the difference with Tua and who he plays with and the talent and the receivers that he have? It's the exact same thing.
Exactly.
That makes no difference. The one comparison that you can make with Joe Burrow and Tua that I think is fair is that Tua has been good for a longer amount of time than Joe Burrow has been good. Now, Joe Burrow had the greatest statistical season in the history of college football at the quarterback position, so you can take that into consideration. But if you're being fair all the way around, they're even. Like, Tua's injuries and then Joe Burrow's lack of greatness for an extended amount of time kind of even out to me.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, I'm going to go with Joe Burrow because I personally see that level of greatness, and he doesn't have the injuries.
It's like an it factor.
The injury thing to me really scares me. Now, that said, I would still take him if I'm a GM and I need a quarterback because it's worth the risk. Nobody knows what anyone's getting in these drafts. It's a crapshoot, even in the first round. There's no guarantees in the draft. There's busts all the time. So if you need a quarterback, just take him. What's the worst that could happen? He ends up being injured? Okay, then take another quarterback.
Yeah, just
do
it again.
It's worth the risk for the talent and being in the position that you are to get him. So I think the Dolphins take Tua. Obviously, the Cincinnati's going to take Joe Burrow. I hate it. It's going to ruin my life, but it is what it is. Now, that said, I'm going to make an open plea until draft day and on draft day that Joe Burrow come out and say he's not going to play for Cincinnati.
Oh, man.
Nobody's going to be mad at you except for Cincinnati. Trust me, no one cares. Like, I like no diss to Cincinnati, but like no, you're not out here saying that you're not going to play for the Cowboys, or you're not playing for the Green Bay Packers, or you're not playing for the New England Patriots. Hell, you're not even saying you're not playing for the Miami Dolphins, which I also think that no one would care about. based off of the last 20 years of Dolphins football. Everyone will be happy for you except for Cincinnati that you said you didn't want to play in Cincinnati. Trust. Unless you end up with the Lions. No offense.
Oh, man, that's real, though.
So then Justin Herbert, I think, goes to the Chargers. I like Justin Herbert. I didn't all season, but I liked what I saw from him in the bowl game. I think he goes to the Chargers. Obviously, that could switch between the Dolphins. If the Dolphins take Justin Herbert, then Tua goes to the Chargers.
Yeah.
I think the Chargers are a better situation for Tua than the Dolphins because there's going to be more required of him in Miami than will be with the Chargers. But either way, those are interchangeable. Jacob Eason, I think he goes to the Bears. I don't know. I have no idea. That's the one thing I saw on the internet about where he might go. But I do think he is going to go in the first round. And if you're looking at places that need quarterbacks, they have said that they're sticking with Trubisky's and whatever.
That's a good spot to be in then if you're drafted by the Bears. You got that defense, and then you can sit behind Trubisky's for a little bit maybe.
Yeah, and then everyone's going to yell for you when Trubisky does what Trubisky does.
You're the hero.
And then you're a hero. Right. Jordan Love, the Patriots need a quarterback. Ooh. And he is rumored to be going in the second rounds. Patriots, as we know, are picking later in the first round.
They always do.
Right. So I think that he could end up going there. Now, the Steelers don't have a first round pick, which is tragic. But because I would have loved the Steelers to be able to take a quarterback in this draft. But I think he could end up going to the Patriots. So that leaves Tom Brady. No.
The big one.
Yeah. So I've been pretty consistent. I think Tom Brady is leaving. I thought he was going to the Chargers. I'm kind of moving off that. Colin's kind of convincing me he's going to the Cowboys.
Really?
I know he has no information on this. Okay, and it's just a theory.
Yeah, Michael Irvin.
I don't know. Like, I really want the Cowboys, obviously, to give Dak Prescott the money and let's just move forward with Dak Prescott. I love Dak Prescott. I've been very consistent about that since Dak Prescott started, as we know. I'm not even going to get into it. But I just think they both end up with the Cowboys.
Ooh, so, okay. Dak Prescott just sits back a little bit for the GOAT. He's going to, I'll give you this year, and then I'll come back.
It's not going to be his choice. We know Tom Brady's only going to play for 2 more years.
Yeah.
Right?
So they franchise tag Dak.
Now, I don't know if they have all the money for that.
Yeah, this is the
I'm not a salary cap specialist. This is just the fantasy list.
Right,
okay?
right. My bad.
All right, Philip Rivers, we're retiring you. Sorry. Love you. Great career.
Hall of Famer. Maybe not first ballot, but yeah.
Is he a Hall of Famer?
I think so.
I can't tell, and that kind of makes me feel like he might. I mean, I guess he is. Yeah, is he?
All right.
I mean, I guess if you play for
second or third,
what is it? 17 seasons, 16 seasons, 16 seasons. It's a long time. He does have that streak, that starting streak, which I love. That's a special thing. That's why I think Eli Manning is a Hall of Famer. Okay, maybe he's a Hall of Famer. He convinced me.
Yeah.
Drew Brees, I think, is going to stay with the Saints, which leaves obviously Teddy Bridgewater and Taysom Hill situation. I think he stays with the Saints for another 2 years. I think they trade Teddy Bridgewater. I love Teddy Bridgewater, so that's not a diss of it's actually a compliment to Teddy Bridgewater that he's too good. They need to pay him, and they can get some huge assets for him. So Teddy Bridgewater, I kind of like him with the Lions.
I love Teddy Bridgewater. I also am a fan of Matt Stafford. I don't think he's the problem with the Lions. Matt Stafford has gotten us through some comebacks that I'm ride or die with him now for them comebacks. It's things around him that are the problem.
You're such a Lions fan, Donnie.
I am. But Teddy Bridgewater, I would love to see him in that blue. That silver and Honolulu blue.
Oh, I love Teddy Bridgewater with the Lions.
Yeah, I mean, it's for the culture to have Teddy Bridgewater as our quarterback. That'd be dope.
It would be so dope, and Teddy Bridgewater's so much better than Matthew Stafford.
I can't back that up. I don't.
Oh, come on,
nah, man.
Matthew Stafford. What does Rob Parker call him?
Oh, what does he call him?
Pat Stafford or Stat Pafford? Stat Pafford.
Come on, Rob. How you gonna disrespect?
It's such a good name. I don't know. I'm kind of with Rob Parker on that. I don't agree with him on a lot of stuff, but that's definitely not inaccurate. Damn. So okay, and then so that's I don't know what I do with Matt Stafford. So I guess that's available too. But Cam Newton, I think he stays with the Panthers. I think they stick with that. Okay. Otherwise, they're gonna have to draft someone. Andy Dalton, I think he goes to the Colts. Dak Prescott, as I said, I think stays with the Cowboys, and Jameis Winston's going to be with the Bucs forever and just continue to throw so many interceptions forever and ever. So like I said, that's my comprehensive list with mostly just gut. It's just a football guy list. There's not a lot of salary cap research there.
Okay. So come August, we'll check back and see how
accurate it is. It will either be completely and utterly wrong in every single way, or it'll probably be 100% right.
Oh man, that'd be insane.
If I got 100% right based off of basically nothing.
Gut.
Yeah, based on all gut. That's my all gut list. But I like it. I feel good about most of it, except for like 2. But most of it I feel good about. All right, what's next?
Football is back like it never left.
Yeah,
because it kind of didn't. 3.3 million viewers tuned into the XFL's first weekend of games, featuring new rules, more access, and some pretty good football. Joy, more football equals more fun. With it or quit it?
With it. I loved it.
Agreed.
First of all, I like any league that provides high quality play, which I thought was like, again, these are not NFL players, so you're not going to get NFL level play, but I thought the play was good. I thought the network coverage of it was great. The camera angles, the calls were great. The sideline interviews were awesome. I love the in-game interviews, like the action and the energy.
In the moment stuff.
Yeah. So overall, like the product looked good on television, which I can't say the same for with AAF because we couldn't even find it. And I was rooting for AAF too.
Yeah.
But this league is different. Like for all the criticisms of the XFL that were warranted in the past, for sure, and all the skepticism coming into this weekend, I didn't really know what to expect. I knew that the product would look good. I wasn't expecting it to look as good as it did, but I knew it would look good because ESPN and Fox are behind it. So like we're going to do our productions, which are good productions.
Top notch.
And we knew who was calling the games too. So Kurt Menefee, Joel Klatt, like that's going to be a well-called game. Exactly. Like they're both the best in the business. But I actually thought it looked like real football. Like it didn't. And listen, I'm a big supporter of minor league sports. I love going to minor league baseball games. I think they're fun. I actually like going to minor league games better than going to major league games. Like you're gonna get great weird food.
Yeah. Weird mascot stuff.
Weird mascot stuff. I'm huge into weird mascot stuff.
Yeah.
Great stadium antics. Huge into stadium antics. You're in a nice intimate seat, like right down by the game. You're going to see the players. It's affordable family experience. Not that I have a family or that I pay for anything because I don't, but I do support that.
Yeah.
I do support that. Like, and I think they're fun. Like I've never had a bad experience in a minor league baseball game. And I think this is a nice option for fans because it's so expensive to go to games. Yeah. Like it's cool to be able to bring your whole family to a game. I'm spoiled and I'm aware of that, but like, and all of us in the business pretty much, like we get perks from working in the business, tickets and such. And like, we kind of get desensitized to how expensive it is to go to these sporting events. Like we do. And it's cool to have an option to watch professional football. And it's not that expensive. It looks great on TV. I love the stuff that they implemented with being able to hear the replay and like hearing the coaches and the players. Like you really get to experience the game. I do think that there's going to be some stars that emerge throughout the season. Like it's one weekend. We don't know who the stars are yet. We'll see. It's going to get more competitive as it goes on. And from what I've read about the pay structure, you actually make more because they're obviously not making anywhere near NFL salaries. You make more if you win. Oh, so at least according to what I've read. Dope. So that's like cool. That's obviously more motivation and gives it a little bit competitive advantage, especially because it's not NFL guys are like, oh, like whatever, I get a $10,000 bonus, I don't care. Yeah, they don't care about winning, but like they're not worried about the money. Right. So I think it's cool. I'm a big supporter of it. I watched this weekend. I was on the plane. I told Colin every other TV was on XFL. Oh, dope. It's a nice option for people, and this is a gap space.
Yeah, it's the perfect timing for it. It's
right.
A window of like we're looking for more live sports, and this is it right now. Because right now it's just basketball, but
we're going into All-Star break.
Exactly.
And like and so like now NBA is about to crank up, but it's like the perfect space for it. I love the implementing of the betting. I can't wait till the NFL does that. Like, look. We're all gambling here. Like, just talk about the lines. Like, it's okay. It's not a big secret. Yeah. Like, it's actually legal now. It's like when people are resisting like marijuana. It's like, okay, but we can walk into the store and get it. Just like booze.
Somebody has to do it first.
Right. And so I love that they're doing it. Overall, I thought it was just cool. And like I said, I'm rooting for XFL. I love that it's providing more coaching opportunities, options for guys who still want to play, who are good enough to play out of college but haven't quite made a team or will peak and then get on a squad next year, which will happen. And I think it'll end up being, because it's so well funded, which was the problem the AAF obviously had, it's a long play. Like, don't get too caught up in like, oh, I don't love it this weekend and whatever. Like, it's a long play. They're not gonna have these ridiculously unreachable marks to get to in the first week or the first season.
And this feels different from the first time the XFL debuted. I remember being super excited about it as like a 13-year-old, and then watching it actually premiere and feeling nothing but disappointment. And I had
chaos.
I had the same excited feelings going into this weekend. Like I was amped about like more football, and my expectations were actually met, and that has like felt so good. I was like surprised by how awesome it was.
Yeah, it was utter complete chaos and insanity, the original version of XFL.
Yeah.
And I did not think that we were going to see any of that with this, because it just that didn't work before.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
not going to work
you
now.
Learn from the mistakes.
Right. And I thought they did a good job. I'm looking forward to next weekend. Hear ye, hear ye. Jimmy Butler is petty. Obviously love it. Joel Embiid, for that matter, as well. So there's a lot going on with the Sixers this year. A lot of dysfunction, a lot of conversations in the locker room, and there's just like a lot of stuff, a lot of noise around the Sixers this year. And they're not playing up to their potential, which I low-key like, obviously, because I'm a Heat fan. But Joel Embiid has been in the kind of conversation about a possible trade piece. Obviously not this year. The trade deadline has passed. But, the conversation is being had of if the Sixers should move on from Joel Embiid, get a haul of picks and players or whatever. And he got booed at home. They got booed at home. And he kind of, shushed the crowd after making a 3. And he posted this picture on Instagram with the age-old quote, "You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a villain." And listen, villain shoes, villain cape. Do villains wear capes? Some villains wear cape, I guess. Yeah. Sure. Villain mask.
More likely,
yeah. Being a villain isn't for everyone. We saw that with LeBron and the Miami Heat. It's a lot. It's a cross to bear, if you will. Cross with thorns. And Jimmy Butler is perfectly comfortable being a villain, and he is in Miami. And he responded to this Instagram post that Joel put up and said, "I know a place where villains are welcome." Ooh, it's such a good line. Ooh, that's some cold to say. It's so good, and it's why I love the Heat so much this year. It's such old school Heat mentality. It's just Pat Riley's hands all over it. I love it so much. And he responded something like, "You know it, brother," or something like that. Like, he responded in a positive fashion to this quote. So he's stirred up a lot. Now, he has gone on to Twitter, just like kind of smooth it over, like, "I can take it, whatever, feel it forever." Okay. But we saw it. It happened. So I'm here for it. I'm totally down with Joel Embiid coming to Miami. Obviously, the more talent we can get. And this is, I told you. Didn't I tell you? I told y'all this was about to start popping off. I told you the NBA was going to turn up all the drama, right? Like, we're getting into All-Star break. Like, we've had a nice, quiet season. NFL, we're all paying attention to the NFL. Now this stuff is about to start stirring up. Got a little Kuzma, just a little Joel Embiid, a little Jimmy Butler. Delicious. I love it. All right, time for high key, low key. What's up, Donnie?
All right, high key. We're only getting a Khabib McGregor rematch if it's in the streets. Low key, okay. Just JK. We don't condone
we do not
violence.
Condone any street violence. That's not accurate by me, but
I don't.
I'm not going to tell that story. But obviously, I do not condone them climbing into the stands and fighting people in the stands.
Exactly.
Don't do that. Don't do that while I'm in the stands.
It endangers others.
Do not endanger others, especially me. I will be dressed fancy, and I do not have time. I'm fresh out of time for that. Hated that. Okay, so here's the thing about this fight and what's going on with McGregor. Everything that's going on with McGregor is a setup for the Mayweather fight that's going to be at the end of the year, which we all know, right? Like, we're accepting that. Even though I don't think that will be a good fight, whereas I thought the first Mayweather-McGregor fight was good, I don't believe it will be as good of a fight.
Okay.
But I still think it's going to happen because, Mayweather likes making $300 million for a fight.
Yeah, it's
and I think McGregor does too. But he's in the UFC right now, and the Khabib-McGregor rematch is what everyone wants to see. Now, obviously, they have bad blood. So this new, sweet version of McGregor where he's, all lovey and that.
Yeah, peace.
He is at peace. He's in his Zen space, okay, which is fine. Good for him. Great. Thrive, honey. But this is the fight everyone wants to see. So Khabib is fighting Tony Ferguson at UFC 249 in Brooklyn on April 18th. So that's coming up soon. That is a violent picture.
Oh, man.
So Dana White obviously wants a rematch. We all want a rematch. But Khabib's camp has said they want to see McGregor earn things before he gets a shot at the champion. Here's the thing, and maybe this is just me, okay? Because, like, obviously Khabib is a great fighter, and he kicked McGregor's ass.
He did.
But what are you talking about, earn things?
That's a boss
Earn
move.
what?
That's boss.
Earn what? Who, where, why, ever? What are you talking about? You're going to fight McGregor. And I like this lead up. Okay.
Yeah.
I like the tension. I
Okay.
like the sell in the fight. But get the out of here with he got to earn something.
You don't buy into
McGregor
it.
is the star of UFC. He fought Mayweather in the biggest sporting events in the past couple years.
Crossover,
Like,
yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. No, there's no earning of anything. Now, there is bad blood here because remember, this got really ugly. Obviously, it spilled out into the stands.
Yeah, man.
But Khabib said the only chance this fight could happen. His manager said the only way this fight could happen is in the street. And he said that McGregor would have to do something spectacular. He's one of the biggest stars because he's one of the biggest scumbags. Let's be real. We don't like this guy. We're never going to like him. Probably every time we see him, there's going to be problems. He said things about family, things about religion, things about race. He crossed the line. You can't cross the line with Khabib. I love it all. Sell the fight, but don't get it twisted. McGregor is the A side of that fight, whether Khabib is the champion or not. Like that's just fact. So hopefully this fight happens probably around end of summer. I'm guessing.
Okay.
Now the only thing is, if McGregor loses this fight, which is obviously a possibility,
It happened
that might damage the possibility of the Mayweather fight.
Okay. Yeah, 100%.
Because I don't know how you get gassed up for the McGregor Mayweather rematch if he doesn't beat Khabib.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
there's a lot of setup to this. Like McGregor needs to win that fight, but please, the fight is happening. All right, what's next?
High key, we're almost at the halfway point of the NBA season. Low key, what's been the biggest surprise?
The Miami Heat, 305, take it to the house, take it to the house. 35-18, 2 All-Stars, bam, my guy Jimmy, Tyler Hero. I love all of it. Duncan Robinson, got Derek Jones Jr. in the dunk contest, liftoff. I'm here for it. I love all of it.
On top of the world.
It's 4th in the East right now. Completely unexpected.
Mm-hmm.
We're winning the NBA championship. No, I'm very excited though. It is like it's so fun to watch old school Heat basketball, and that's what I feel like this is. Like they're the bad guys, and listen, say hello to the bad guy.
You got to respect it.
All right, but that's just Miami style. We have no problem being the bad guy. Heatles, bad guys. It's fine. We'll be bad guys.
Yeah.
It's good.
Throwback.
I mean, it is.
Throwback
it really
basketball.
Is. We'll Scarface all over these motherfuckers. But I love it though. I'm really excited about it, and it's the style of Heat basketball that I enjoy watching the most. And I'm happy that they're back. I'm happy that they're playing at the level they are. I'm happy Jimmy is in a place where he feels comfortable being himself.
Yeah, he seems
that they
happy.
put people around him where he can mentor them. And Tyler Hero was talking about how, like, what a pro he's become from watching Jimmy Butler. And I do think that a lot of what's happened with Jimmy's reputation sometimes you're a victim of your own attitude. And, you know, I was reading a story about Jimmy today and, like, the issues that he's had around the league and, like, what he's gone through. And look, it's not no part of your reputation is completely unearned, right? Like, maybe he has been difficult, but the overall, like, thread of the story is he's difficult because he's demanding, which I can relate to and understand. Like, sometimes you're just like, I have this standard for myself and everyone else needs to meet that standard. And of course, we know everybody does not work as hard as everybody else who works hard. Like, that's just facts. We all are around humans all day long. If that was the case, there'd be no money because we'd all be billionaires. So, like, yeah, there's a way to go about things, and that's what he is able to do in Miami. And it's all clicking, and I love it. Eastern Conference Finals. We're taking down Giannis.
Okay.
And then
We'll
see what happens.
Okay.
But I'm down, and I'm excited about it. All right, what's next?
High key, the Browns are not going to trade Odell and Jarvis. Low key, this is sad.
It is sad. It's so sad. I'm so tired of seeing Odell in that jersey. Listen, Jay Glazer has reported that they're not going to trade either one of them. So we're basically stuck with Odell and Baker, and that does make me sad. And that's nothing against Baker, because obviously, as I've said a million times, I was a huge Baker supporter. Not the best picture of Baker. I was a huge Baker supporter. I thought that he should have started from the beginning. I like personalities. I like anarchy. He represents that. I'm cool with it, but didn't just please just go out there and deliver, and they just didn't. And the biggest thing is that Odell is the biggest superstar in the NFL, even being with the Browns. And if he's not putting up numbers, if they're not winning games, if he's not being able to do what Odell does, then he kind of fades. I won't say disappears because Odell can't disappear.
Yeah.
But this last year didn't feel like a league with Odell Beckham Jr. as one of the best receivers in it. It just felt like he's on a team that's completely dysfunctional, and it was about Baker and Freddie Kitchens and Myles Garrett, and just like chaos all the time.
Now, he did say that he was hurt, and I feel like with a completely healthy Odell coming back next season, possibly we might end up seeing what we expected to see this year, just a delayed reaction kind of a thing.
He did say that he played the entire season hurt. And to be clear, I'm blaming none of this on Odell.
Nah, yeah.
Like, Odell's a superstar. I only want Odell to thrive. And Jarvis, too. Like, I like Jarvis Landry. And we all expected great things from the three of them. Baker, Jarvis, and Odell. And I do think I liked how Baker presented himself at the Super Bowl. I thought he came across as very mature and self-aware. But here's the issue. They had like this much window, bloop, closed. Because now Cincinnati's likely going to get Joe Burrow. Now, they're still Cincinnati, but that's a game changer as far as what's the team we're going to pay attention to that we don't know is going to be good or not. It's no longer the Browns. It's now Cincinnati. So we're all going to be watching Cincinnati, see what happens with Joe Burrow. Then what happens? Oh, the Steelers are getting Ben Roethlisberger back. They had a playoff merging season this year with that goofy dude. What's his name? Can't even remember his stupid name. Mason Rudolph. Okay? And Duck. Okay? Duck.
Duck.
All right? So what do you think's going to happen? Even if, I don't care how old Ben is. Like, that's an upgrade. All right? And they almost made the playoffs this year with that ridiculous situation.
Yeah.
So that's happening. And then you have, I don't know, Lamar Jackson, league MVP, and the Baltimore Ravens. So what are you smacking with? Like, you got to win your division first before you become even in the conversation of being relevant. They're not going to make a wild card spot. So what are we talking about here? It's more of the same. I even if they improve, I don't think it's going to be much better of a season or enough to get into the playoffs.
That's
so
real.
It's sad. Loser power rankings. These are the losers of the week. All right, what do we got for loser power rankings?
All right, first up is Your Voice.
Yeah, huge L. That's me. That's all that inflammation there.
It's me too, technically. My base level is a little bit lower.
Yeah, it is. I hear it now that you said that.
Yeah.
So I've been sick for 3 weeks. Everyone keeps blaming it on like Miami and partying, and I play a slight role. But I was sick before I left for Super Bowl, which was the disaster. Because if you go on a huge road trip already sick, there's no chance you're recovering from that.
Yeah.
Which I haven't. I've completely lost my voice. This is the best that it's sounded in the last 3 days. And I've tried everything. I've tried not talking. I've tried drinking lots of water and the tea and the emergency and throat lozenges and the medicine, and like nothing's working. And it's not going to get better. So this is what I sound like now. I sound like this. It's just a huge L. It's
kind
awful.
of fun.
And I keep hacking.
That's not fun.
And I sound like
I enjoy when my voice changes. I'm like walking around the house singing Barry White and Louis Armstrong. It's fun.
I can't sing at all. See here, it's just never gonna get better. This is what I sound like now. Sorry. What's next?
Baseball changing the postseason potentially.
Oh my God, the best part of baseball is the postseason. Why? Why?
This is interesting.
I'm patently against this. So they're seriously weighing a change to the playoffs that would expand the field to 7 teams, which is 3 division winners and 4 wild card teams. And this would happen in 2022, according to the New York Post, Joel Sherman. The playoff structure would basically create a new wild card round. The division winners with the best record in each league would get a bye for the round, while the other 2 division winners and the top wildcard team would host a 3-game series against each of the rest of the wildcards, if you can follow anything I just said. But the biggest change comes with who faces the team in the new wildcard round, because MLB is planning on producing a Sunday night selection show at the end of the regular season where representatives from each team pick their wildcard opponent on live TV.
I choose you.
Yeah. To get your ass kicked, because what happens when you lose?
That's going to be amazing. If this were to happen, I would be looking forward to that more than anything else.
Everyone who doesn't have a team is going to be rooting so hard for the team that gets picked.
Yeah.
So basically, the division winner with the best record gets a bye, and then the division winner with the second best record gets their first pick of opponents, and then the remaining division winner picks their opponent, and the remaining team faces the top wild card. I don't like changes when it comes to things that really work. And the baseball postseason is just some of the best sports you're ever going to get to watch.
100%.
It's a great sense of urgency. It's intense, like the pressure is at the absolute height that baseball can get to. I don't like hacky, goofy changes to things that are just
reality
like
show gimmick.
There's no need for gimmicks in something that works.
Yeah.
You want to do gimmicks, like do it during the regular season when nobody is watching. And that's not true. Lots of people watch baseball. We just because there's 10,000 games, so obviously that's what it is. But lots of people watch baseball. Don't mess with the baseball postseason, please. You want to make some changes? I have a suggestion. Put Barry Bonds and Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame.
Do it.
There you go. There's solved. Next. Hello. Oh, Heller. Welcome, Heller.
I was waiting outside patiently, and I heard
Barry Bonds. You feel like
okay, I
got to
come in. It's my time.
Yeah.
Welcome,
Here's
Heller.
hit Barry Bonds. What's going on? What you guys talking about?
Welcome back.
We're talking about the ridiculous suggestion that they should change the baseball postseason to some hacky selection show.
It's like reality TV. I choose you to potentially beat me. Have you heard this?
I don't know because I don't know because people always feel the need to change things that don't need to be changed.
Shake it up.
As long as there's no buzzers on people's shoulders to tell them when the pitches are coming.
Don't change baseball postseason. All right, what's next?
Johnny Manziel.
Oh man, that's my bad. I'll take that one.
Nope, let's start over.
No, I think we're leaving it in.
Damn it.
Absolutely not.
Johnny Manziel dissing the XFL.
All right.
Boom.
So
Boom.
someone asked Johnny if he was going to play in the XFL because you remember he had some involvement with the AAF. And he said, comeback season's still alive if y'all ain't know. Just
know.
not you. Oh, that's verbatim. Just in case I wasn't talking like that.
Right.
I
That
talk
was
like that, but apparently Johnny Manziel talks like that.
His
too.
mouth.
Yes, he
made
these
those
are
words.
his words.
It's one thing for him to speak like that. It's another thing for him to tweet like that.
A conscious decision. Comeback season's still alive if y'all ain't know.
Johnny.
Just not playing for another league that's going to fold on you midway through the season. Ooh. Now, that's a fair criticism because he did have that experience with AAF. Obviously, if you played for AAF, you might have a little anxiety about getting involved in it. But the XFL and the AAF, I don't think can be compared. Like, there's way more funding. It's a completely different setup than the AAF. But he also said, if I never pick up a ball again, it's all love. I was the most lit,
Oh, my God.
most relatable college football player to ever do it.
Oh, man.
Did things my way and made it further than I ever could have imagined. The game gave me life, and I'll forever be grateful. Thank you to the people that vibe with me till the ends. What a journey it's been. So
Let's let that marinate.
I mean, you have to let it marinate because there's so much to dissect. Overall, look, like, did I enjoy Johnny Manziel in college football? Yes. I thought he was fun. Money Manziel,
Was he the most lit?
Well, first of all, like, are we doing that still? Because I felt like I use that sparingly and not in a public fashion. And every time I use it, I'm still like, I haven't decided if I think we're done with that, right? Have we retired that?
I never really bought into it, so you're talking to the wrong person.
I mean, because I don't, the thing about it is I'm just not a young I'm a young person, but I'm not a young person.
Yeah.
And lit is just not in my vocabulary.
Same.
The white delegation has definitely co-opted lit.
Well, we've been known that.
I would say ruined it. I think.
Yeah, that's really what it
been
is.
ruined.
But that's when we decide we're done with something.
Oh, yeah.
So, the most lit. I mean, can we come? Anyway, let's just move on. Before we get started with culture, I just want to submit some more lit suggestions because I feel like we didn't put in enough time on that. So, like, overall, I feel like it's a complete disrespect to the 2000 Miami Hurricanes that Manziel has described himself as the most lit college football player of all time. To the entire Miami Hurricanes history, which, I mean, there's literally dozens of submissions that rank higher. But
the whole state of Florida football also.
Yeah, I mean, we have not even discussed
Prime.
we haven't even gotten into the Gators, okay, which I don't even want to because it's like really disrespectful to the level of lit that we're talking about with the U. But let's just start with the U. But let's just remove the U actually.
Yep.
Brian Bosworth,
Amazing. To this day, a better hang than Johnny Manziel.
Bo Jackson,
Super lit.
Michael Vick,
And Marcus.
Vince Young,
Matt Leinart.
Reggie Bush,
Come on.
all of the most lit college football player of all time.
I know he's a coach, but is Pete Carroll more lit? I think he is.
He was Money Manziel.
Yeah, but Pete Carroll had Snoop and Will Ferrell at practices.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Uncle Luke, okay?
Yeah, right.
Like, what are we talking about here?
Most lit.
All right, let's move on. Hello, T. Time for the Migos Culture Report. T with the T.
All right, so the Oscars was on Sunday in Los Angeles. It suffered the lowest ratings ever, and they had no female directors nominated, but it was still a big night for some people. Joy, what did you think of the Oscars?
It doesn't surprise me that it had the lowest ratings because their ratings have been plummeting for like the past, I don't know, I think 8 years.
Yeah.
Why? Who knows? I think part of it is it's not really, while this particular Oscars I felt like was an actual show, it had kind of over the years become like this speech fest, and nobody likes speeches unless you're going to a speech. Yeah. Like, if you're going to a panel, you're prepared to hear a speech. Or you're going to church, you're prepared to hear a sermon. Okay? You know what I'm saying? Or you're like going literally to hear someone speak, then you're down with being spoken to. But like, I don't want to sit on my couch and watch people talk
about nothing. About
stuff I can't achieve or like be a part of. And I think that's part of what the Oscars has become. But this particular year, I will say, and you saw the Oscars.
Yeah,
as well.
It was good.
First of all, opening song, Janelle Monáe, Billy Porter. This was amazing, and it kind of got some mixed reviews on Twitter. But Janelle Monáe is the queen of everything, and it was awesome. We had the Us and like
Joker
characters, the Joker characters. Obviously, Billy Porter's life, and she's just running around in everyone's face, doing her thing, and she looked amazing, and I loved it. I thought it was high energy way to start the show. Like when they after this performance, I was like, oh, okay, we're doing a show then.
Yeah,
and it really was. They did performances of all the top songs, all the nominated songs for the year. I thought everybody did a really good job. Randy Newman was cool, obviously. Cynthia Erivo killed it.
She did.
She looked amazing. So I felt like the show was an actual show, and none of the speeches went long.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Renee Zellweger's was a little long, but she won Best Actress, so, like, take your time. There was no, I didn't hear at least. Did you hear any, like, get off the stage music?
The only time was at the end when Parasite won Best Picture. I saw when they were, like, kind of dimming the lights, you hear everybody going up, up, up. Like, that's the only time.
Okay. So,
yeah.
That was definitely it. Jane Fonda looked amazing, by the way. I think anybody's went over. I didn't hear any wrap it up music at all. Everyone's speech was kind of self-aware and quick. The ones that, nobody really knows who they are, no offense, but like best sound mixing, they were not up there. Because usually those are the ones that like, and I'd also like to thank Fred Farmer from my 4th grade math teachers, friends, backyard, bathtub. Like and it gets ridiculous. And everyone's like, okay, I'm done with this. Because who cares? Like, you just want to see who won Best Picture and Best Actress and Best Actor. But I thought the show was fun. Eminem came out. Like, okay,
right, yeah.
Billie Eilish singing for the In Memoriam. By the way, I mean, can we please solve the In Memoriam? It is not hard. How do they always miss people?
How do you miss Luke Perry?
How do you miss Luke Perry? And Cameron, how? Does one person do this?
Luke Perry is a silver screener. This is about movies. It's all right. Movies a silver screen? Yeah. Luke Perry's a TV star. That's what I thought. That's why I thought they.
Yeah, except for he was in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Which was like nominated for Best Picture, and Brad Pitt won.
Yep.
I wish I wouldn't have picked up the microphone.
Yes. It's okay, but like that's not even it. Like he's been in movies.
He has.
Like it doesn't. Like he was in the nominated movie. How do you not? Do they just send it to the agencies? Just like, hey, can you give us a little review? Like, okay, you're missing 3 people, and then send it back, and then fix it. I don't understand how it happens.
I don't either.
It's really strange.
They miss Cameron Boyce too. I remember mentioning that to you, which was.
It's so weird. Yeah. I don't understand how it happens. Anyway, that was odd. But anyway, Brad Pitt was gracious as always, and Joaquin gave his speech about his stuff, and he's. I mean, that's the speech I expected from Joaquin Phoenix. It's the speeches he's been giving since he was in it, and obviously expected him to win. But love Elton John. I don't know. I just enjoyed it, and I like the Oscars because I feel like it's the highest award that you can win in Hollywood. Like, no one's ever like, oh, this SAG award winner or such and such. No diss to the SAG awards, but you describe someone as an Academy Award winner.
That's
like
big.
It's prestigious.
Yeah.
It matters. It's why everyone's pissed there were no female directors nominated. It's why everyone's mad about the lack of diversity, and it's why everyone's glad Parasite won everything. Because I haven't even seen Parasite yet.
I haven't.
I am going to watch it.
Yeah.
But they cleaned up, and it was the perfect way to end that show based off of everything that had been like the controversy around the Academy Awards. What did you think?
I loved it. I mean, I think for me, like the biggest moment was just seeing, I don't want to butcher his name, Bong Joon-ho win. I mean, 4 awards, and I'd said it before, I'm going to say it again, but the fact that he just said, thank you, we'll drink till morning. Like, I just thought that was so...
Yeah, I vibed with that.
I vibe with it. I thought it was so funny. I was really happy to see history being made. So I love that. I did appreciate Steve Martin and Chris Rock.
Oh my God, they were amazing.
What's missing? Vaginas? Like,
they were
hilarious.
Amazing. They were so great. I love that they opened it and they crushed their monologue.
They did.
Kristen Wiig and Maya Rudolph were amazing also.
Oh, they were.
They were so funny. And I loved Rebel Wilson and James Corden as the cats.
Oh, yeah.
When they were messing with the microphone. That shit was great. I don't know. I enjoyed it. Like I like the Oscars though, so I'm kind of biased, but I thought this year was an actual show. And I actually really enjoyed watching it and thought it was a show as opposed to like a series of speeches from people that I'm never going to meet.
Yeah.
And like I can get why people don't relate to it, but
I heard a lot of people asking, like, was mentioning how Eminem popping up was a little random. And after he performed, did you see what he tweeted? So he tweeted, look, if you had another shot, another opportunity, thanks for having me at the Academy. Sorry, it took me 18 years to get here. Because I'm not sure if you know, but when he won back in 2003 for Lose Yourself, he wasn't there. He was apparently with his daughter and missed it. So he didn't even, he wasn't there. So I think for him to be able to come back 18 years later and perform, it's like, why wouldn't you do that?
I mean, of course he's going to do it.
Yeah.
But also, like, listen, if you would have given me a list of people that are going to show up and perform at the Oscars, Eminem would not have been one of my choices. But the lead up to it, like the way that they set it up was amazing.
It was.
And like they started playing it and I'm like,
wait, what?
Because, every song had like a little clip. And then it's like all right, it's a little longer. Oh, we're going to play the whole thing? Do we really love Lose Yourself that much? Like, it was a good song. But then all of a sudden Eminem pops out.
Right.
And like for everyone's reviews about like how lost everyone looked, I swear sometimes I feel like I'm watching a different show than people are watching. Like, yes, there's going to be a few random old people in the crowd who don't know what's going on. But I thought for the most part, everyone was singing awesome. It was singing it.
And he got a standing ovation.
Yes,
so.
like, what are you talking about? They were bored. Like, they're like, oh, everyone's confused.
No.
Sometimes Twitter gets on my nerves. Like, y'all don't know everything. What are you watching? Yeah. I loved it. I thought it was great.
I did too.
I enjoyed them. We'll see. It doesn't surprise me if the ratings are down, though.
I do want to reference one other thing I think is really important, that Matthew Cherry won Best Animated Short winner for Hair Love. And I love the fact that he brought DeAndre Arnold, who's a Texas high school student that wasn't going to be able to graduate if he didn't cut his dreads. Yep. So that was huge. That was a great moment for them.
Yeah, and he's a former NFL wide receiver.
Yes.
Yeah. So
sports tie.
Yeah. Right. We like to do that, but no, this was a great moment, and obviously it's a super important topic, and something that T and I live through every day.
Yes.
So it's always important that is in the forefront, and they had great speeches too.
They did,
and I thought that was really cool. And obviously he gave a shout out to Kobe at the end with a really nice line that may we all have a second act as great as his was. So this was a really good moment too. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the Oscars.
Me too.
All right, thanks for joining us today on the Maybe I'm Crazy podcast. We appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and follow us on all of our social media pages at Maybe I'm Crazy Pod on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. You can listen on Apple Podcasts or SoundCloud or Spotify or the iHeartMedia app, basically anywhere you get podcasts. And we appreciate it. Catch you next week.
Maybe I'm crazy, maybe I'm not.